Right. All righty. So we are live. Uh, and I hope you all can see and hear me. All right. So I will just go back to Zoom. Yes. All right, ladies. I think we're live. Uh, and everything seems to be going on well. So I can see it on my end. Please let me know if you can see it on your end and if it sounds okay on your end. Um, can you all hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear
Okay.
you.
All right, perfect. And please help me confirm if we're live on LinkedIn again. Ayo, are we live again? I mistakenly deleted the old event, so I had
Yeah,
to
we seem to
restart.
be live on my end.
Okay, great. All right, perfect. And I don't know why my video is. I've not seen myself. I don't know if that's supposed to be, but okay. We're going to work around this. All right. Thank you everyone for joining us. Um, no, I can't see anything from LinkedIn. So I would need you to be my eyes, please, and my ears. So please keep me updated with what is going on LinkedIn, okay? Because I don't know what's going on. I can't really see much, but we have to go on with this stream. So let me know if you can see my screen, if you can hear me, and if everything is going on well on that end. So can you see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Okay, thank you so much, Patricia. Francisca and Abigail, are you still here?
Yes, yes,
Yes,
and I
I
can
am.
see you.
Yes.
Okay. Abigail, you seem to be joined from two devices. Oh, is that just me?
Two devices? No. I'm joined with just one device, and I'm only seeing one Abigail here.
Okay. Maybe it's a glitch on my end. All right, I think that's all now. Thank you so much. Okay. All right. Hello, everyone. Good evening and welcome to our LinkedIn Live webinar, the very first of its kind that we've ever done here at the Smile Outreach. My name is Emanuela Imo. I am the Director of Communications at the Smile Outreach Foundation. I am so happy to have you all here. And we already have our amazing speakers here who are going to be sharing with us from their wealth of knowledge. And like you all know, the whole celebration around our periods, and also the education and sensitization about period poverty and menstrual hygiene is right around the corner. And today we're just here to have a very quick conversation about the good cycle. And we're going to be looking at myths, demystifying myths that are available or we know as women and as men also. Men are also welcome to join this conversation because it's not just a woman only conversation. And also we're going to be talking about the best practices that are very important for us to embrace to have a period friendly Nigeria and world entirely. So like I said, I'm going to be walking you through everything, being the host here today. And just before we get straight into our conversation, it will be great for you to know who the Smile Outreach is and what we do. So the Smile Outreach is a grassroots nonprofit that tackles communal issues in Nigeria. We're specifically focused on sexual grooming, menstrual justice, and cross-generational sexual relationships. We are so passionate about gender equality, menstrual equity, and sexual awareness, which you can see forms the foundation of everything that we do. And we carry out all of the work that we do through our advocacy, awareness, and we strive for a future where women and all adolescents have equal opportunities, make informed choices, and menstrual justice is upheld. Um, so today we're going to be talking about uh, periods, a lot of conversation about periods. But just before we dive in, I just want us to have some general introductions. Um, let's talk. Let's gist a little bit, just for 2 minutes, to get to know ourselves. There are some people joining us live on LinkedIn. There's some people joining us here on Zoom. And I see there are a few people. I'm just going to be looking in the chat a little bit. Please feel free. Generally, how has your day been? Mine has been very hectic. How is your weekend going? It's a Saturday. And tell us one thing you have accomplished today. Feel free to drop in the chat or unmute your mic to say something to us. So who wants to go first? Who wants to go first? I should go first as the host of this event, right? My name is Ella, like I said before. My day has been very hectic. My weekend has been spiraling up and down. But yes, I'm here today to host this event. And what's one thing I have accomplished? I think one thing I have accomplished is actually being here with you all to host this event. We've been planning a lot behind the scenes with our upcoming projects and everything. And I'm so glad that today has come and we're here to have a conversation about periods. So that's from me. So who is going next? Patricia, Francisca, Abigail, which one of you wants to go next? I see Immaculate is here. Please feel free to unmute your mics or just drop in the chat and tell us your name, how your day has been, how your weekend is going, and one thing you have accomplished. Hi, ladies. I'm just going to get into LinkedIn and see what is happening to see if there are people actually getting into the conversation with us to share with us how their day has been going and what is happening on their end.
Okay, hi Ella.
Hi, Francisca.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Francisca, and my day has been quite hectic too. I've shuffled between different live sessions today. All right.
I saw that. I saw that today.
It's been quite stressful, but very fulfilling. Yeah, because I get
Wonderful.
to do things that I love,
Wonderful.
so yeah, stressful, but fulfilling. And the weekend, I really can't wait for tomorrow, because tomorrow is going to be like a very restful day for me. So I'm really looking forward to tomorrow. So I'm not going to count today. Today, I will not count today as the weekend. So I'm really looking forward to tomorrow where I get to rest a lot.
All right.
Yes. So thank
Wonderful.
you.
Thank you so much for sharing, Francisca. Thank you so much. So who is going next? Immaculate. I see Sunday Abigail just joined us. Thank you so much for joining us. Patricia, Abigail, which one of you would like to go next to tell us about your weekend, your day, something you have accomplished, and generally just telling us about you?
Greetings, everyone.
Hi, Patricia.
My name is Patricia Kajumba. I'm reaching out to you from Uganda. Generally, my day has been a restful one, unlike most of you. It has been a restful day, doing a little bit of work online, remotely at home. So I wouldn't say it's been a hectic day. It's been restful, but also impactful. Then one thing I've accomplished, I think, is fixing myself a meal. I was able to do that today. And I'm excited to be here to get to dive into the conversation, but also get to learn a lot from Nigeria in the aspects of menstrual health and hygiene.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Patricia. Thank you so much. I was in Uganda 2 years ago, and it was an amazing experience for me having to meet with a lot of people from the East Africa zone. Thank you so much for joining us here today. All right, so without wasting so much time, we're just going to go on to our next, conversation. So before we have the conversation or the questions that we have for you as speakers, I want to just let's talk about our periods. If you describe your period in 3 words, what would it be? Um, for me, yesterday we made a post right on Instagram. Yeah, well, yesterday we made a post on Instagram that showed an Instagram reel about how period uh mood swings could be, and it was really hilarious. But sometimes that's really the truth for some people, right? So if you were to describe your period in 3 words, what would it be? And you can see that everyone's experience is quite different, right? But I want to hear from you, Immaculate and Abigail. I haven't heard your voice today, but if I were to if I were to put you on the spot, describe your period in 3 words, but any other person could go next. Describe your period in 3 words. What would it be? What would be the 3 best words to describe your period?
Hi, Ella. Good evening once
Hi,
again. This is
hi,
Festus
Abigail.
Abigail. So I'm so smiling at this question. If I am to describe my period, first I'm going to say is not again.
Oh my God.
Yeah, the first I'm going to say is not again. The second I'm going to say is tiring because it's stressful. I don't want to have it. And the
Mhm.
last thing I'm going to say is finally it's over, so I get to rest.
Ah, okay, yeah, I can relate to that. It's now like a triangle. It starts from the bottom, it goes up, and then begins to come down until it comes down to the end, and you're like, oh, okay, all right, I'm done for this month.
Yeah.
I can relate. I can really relate. Thank you so much, Abigail. So, who else? What describe your period in 3 words? I see someone in the chat. Okay, Patricia says your period is confusing, not for the weak. This is so funny. Not for the weak, lovely, soft girl period. Wonderful. Okay. I can understand. I can understand. So who else? Who else? Um, describe your
Hello.
period in 3 words. Hi, Mikey.
Hi, I am Matchless Namula from Uganda,
Nice
and
to have
I'm
you
happy.
here.
I'm happy joining you all this evening.
Thank you.
For me, my period is just cramps and then a little bit loss of appetite.
Mm, mm.
Yes.
Okay. So cramps and loss of appetite. That's 2 words. So what would be
Yeah.
the third one? Discomfort, I would say,
Yeah, discomfort.
because of the cramps, right?
Yeah.
I can relate. I really can relate. Okay, all right. That's so we can see that everyone has different experiences. Patricia said confusing. Abigail, it's a spiral of events for her, just going up, down. Francisca says, "Oh my God, you guys are funny." Francisca says, "Finally, God, I beg, girl, bye, bye. See you next month." Oh, I'm having so much fun here. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Francisca. So it's a different experience for everyone, right? And so this brings me to my next question. What's the most crazy period myth you have heard? There are so many myths that people have, I would call it propagated, because they keep spreading the wrong information. And this leads to a lot of different things, which should not be. But what's the most crazy thing you have heard around periods? What's the most crazy thing you have heard around periods?
Okay,
Okay.
good evening.
Hi, Abigail. Good evening.
Yeah, good evening. My name is Abigail, and I'm one main about period that I've heard that have that has kept me wondering is women who are on their period, are not allowed to do certain things like cooking, like praying. Some people even go as far as when women are on their periods, they shouldn't preach in church. That's for the Christians.
Wow.
And then for the Muslims, they shouldn't do certain things. And that has been like a wonder for me. So these are some of the means, like one out of many that I have heard, and it's a wonder to me.
I'm just hearing this for the first time, that women who are on their periods should not preach or cannot preach. That's funny. But okay, it's a myth. Who else? What is the most crazy period myth you have heard? Please share with us.
Okay,
Yes.
on my end, one of the most
Okay.
crazy ones I have heard about is when a woman or a girl is on her period, she is supposed to move out of the main house and go dig out a hole, perhaps under the tree, and have to sit there till her period is over. Like, she's literally supposed not to go in the main house simply because she's menstruating. I just can't wrap my head around that up to now.
Oh my! You mean she has to dig a hole? Did you say dig a hole outside?
Yeah, like outside the house, under the tree.
What?
Yeah, and menstruate from there.
That's crazy. Okay, now that's very crazy. Okay, all right. So, Francisca, you wanted to say something.
Okay, yeah. I was going to say the most crazy period myth I've ever heard is the fact that say we're in a hostel, for example, and we are like 3 females in the hostel. So once one person's period comes, it will call the other people's period. Is that correct? I'm sure at one point in life or another, we've all heard that or believed that once one person starts seeing their period, where they're like a group of girls, it attracts the other people's period. When I got to realize that this was a myth, because people's bodies are different. So not because we share the same room or we are in the same space, that will now mean our periods will begin to sink. I think it's mostly called period sink. It's actually a myth. Yeah. So
I actually believed in that thing when I was in secondary school. That my best friend's period and mine was linked. So whenever mine comes, she just remembers that yes, hers is coming. Oh my God, the things we believe when we're young. Oh, okay, Abigail, you wanted to say something. Please tell us, what's the most crazy period myth you've heard?
Yes, so over time, having worked with secondary school students, I have had a whole lot of myths ranging from menstrual blood is a dirty blood, but then I think last month we went to a community for a project, and then the myths I heard there, I mean, it threw me off balance. Okay, so the first one is that a woman who is menstruating is not supposed to cook for her husband.
Why?
She can
She's
cook
going to put the
for
blood
the
in the food.
I don't know what that means, really. So she can actually cook for the children and every other member of the family except for the husband. And when I heard that, I was moved to ask that, okay, so if a man eats a food prepared by his menstruating wife, what happens? That was my question. And then aside that, I asked them, oh, okay, so is there any other myths? And they now mentioned that a woman who is menstruating is not supposed to be found around the environments where, so there's actually in Nigeria here, there's actually a granite cake called kuli kuli. I don't know if you know that or,
Kuli,
oh, okay, beautiful. So they said a menstruating lady or woman should not be found around where they are making kuli kuli. Not that she cannot make, but she should just go far away. I was so surprised that I had to ask them, so please tell me, if a woman who is menstruating happens to be around that environment, what happens? And they said that if she's there, that, you know, there's something called kuli oil. Yes, that the kuli oil will not come out, it will not rush. And then I had to ask them, how do you really define this? Is it science or something? You mean the oil will not, you cannot extract oil, cooking oil from that granite cake because a lady who is menstruating is around that environment or passed by that environment, and they said yes. And I had to ask them, so please, when you go to the market to buy kuli, please, do you ask them this particular kuli, is it prepared by a lady who is menstruating, or do you just
or not?
Because I wanted to, I was curious to know, but really, menstrual myths is actually something that most people actually hold their both hands, and is crazy.
Oh my God, this is really really crazy. Kuli. Oh my God, this is crazy. Anyways, thank you so much all for sharing your thoughts and the craziest myths you have heard. And they are really crazy because I can't imagine where that is coming from and what is inspiring all of that. But okay. Hi, Immaculate. You want to say something?
Yes, I'd love to share.
Yes, please. Go
So I
ahead.
think one of the most common myths that we all know. So a woman is not supposed to talk in public about menses because some people believe it's a disgrace.
Wow.
Yeah, and then in some communities, some people believe that once a girl starts seeing her menses, getting her menses, then she's ready for marriage.
Hmm.
Mm,
That is
yeah.
crazy. So that means all of us here, we've embarrassed ourselves by speaking boldly about
Ella.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Really crazy stuff. Really, really crazy stuff. But that is why we are here today. We're here to raise awareness about menstrual health issues and also debunk all of these myths and so much more that we can't even talk about today, right? That are, surrounding menstruation, not just in Nigeria, but everywhere in the world. And you would notice that a lot of these lies, this myth that is being carried around or that is surrounding menstruation just does not just happen in Nigeria alone. It happens. Immaculate from Uganda shared, Patricia from Uganda has also shared, and I'm sure other people in other parts of Africa and parts of the world have their own either cultural or societal myths, surrounding menstruation. So we're here to raise awareness and to debunk this myth. I will also have here to facilitate a conversation on the different ways period poverty can be tackled, because period poverty is a huge issue. And to help us do that, we have amazing guest speakers from different parts. And we have Patricia Kajumba, who has already introduced herself. And I'm just going to go on to read briefly the bios of our speakers here today. So Patricia is a human rights advocate and a social worker by profession, dedicated to challenging dominant cultural, religious, and societal narratives that limit women and girls and young people from achieving their full potential. Since 2018, Patricia's heart has been at the center of developing rural communities in Midwestern Uganda. Through her transformational leadership at WEFU, she is advocating for menstrual health rights while improving access to quality education and sustainable development. During the Happy Flow campaign that was led by the AIDS Foundation of South Africa, among other partners, Patricia volunteered as an SRHR ambassador, where she managed to collect over 1,000 signatures for the petition of free sanitary wear for girls and women living in East and Southern Africa. Today, she's the founder and serving executive director at Twekonyere Foundation Uganda. This is a grassroots and youth-led NGO that is improving menstrual health and hygiene access to quality and sustainable development in rural communities. We also have here with us Festus Abigail, the founder of Fab Treasure Foundation. She is an administrator, a girl child advocate, a humanitarian, and a public speaker with a passion and a sense of responsibility toward building an egalitarian and supportive society where young girls can live their best lives and have equal participation in society. She sits as the executive director of the Fab Treasure Foundation, an NGO dedicated to educating and empowering the girl child through feminine hygiene education, provision of free sanitary pads, and knowledge of digital transformation. As a girl child empowerment advocate who believes that a world where no girl is left behind is possible and achievable, she has served and is serving in different capacities, creating a positive impact on the life of girls, women, and youth in her community. She has served as a project coordinator at Mariam Ashley Yusuf Foundation and as a volunteer at the Female and More Foundation. In the last 3 years, she has impacted over 10,000 girls, women, and youth across different states in Nigeria through speaking engagements and outreach programs such as Pad with Fab, Back to School, and digital inclusion for Nigerian girls. And finally, we have another amazing person, Francisca Nzagu, the founder of CC Red Initiative, and she is a passionate advocate for girls' education and menstrual health. She founded CC Red Initiative, which promotes menstrual health and hygiene education through community sensitization, resource distribution, and creative expression. Francisca uses innovative projects like Crimson Collectibles, a literary competition encouraging secondary school students to share personal stories and experiences related to menstruation through spoken words, prose, and drama to normalize conversations around menstruation and empower young minds. She also created the Period Song, an educational tool breaking myths surrounding menstruation. Her community project, She Bleeds Period, has reached over 1,600 girls across 8 states, providing rookie kits and menstrual education. Francisca's creative advocacy has made a significant impact, inspiring communities globally to break the stigma surrounding menstruation. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our guest speakers, Patricia, Francisca, and Abigail, all the way from Africa. Now, I'm not going to say Nigeria or Uganda because we're all Africans, and today is Africa Day. So happy Africa Day, by the way, to everyone. And yes, we're just going to go right into our discussion for today. So my first question goes to you, Abigail. What is period poverty and why is it still prevalent in Nigeria despite the efforts to curtail this problem? Over to you, Abigail.
Okay, so firstly, period poverty refers to the lack of access to menstrual health and hygiene education, as well as sanitary supplies. To be more clearer, period poverty refers to that situation where a young girl does not have access to menstrual education, and she also do not have access to sanitary wear, whether sanitary pads or menstrual cups or whatever it is she needs to make use of to ensure that she protects herself or she properly takes care of herself during her monthlies, which is menstruation. So that's the definition of period poverty. And then why is it still prevalent in Nigeria despite efforts? So firstly, I like to mention that the whole advocacy work, creating awareness, we have actually achieved a lot with that. But then, of course, there is actually room for more. So why is it that it's looking like, oh, we haven't done anything, we haven't scratched the surface, despite the fact that we have individuals and organizations who are putting in their best to this conversation? I'm going to say one of it is going to be because of the traditional mindsets or the history behind menstruation. you know, you would agree with me that menstruation initially was that subject matter that people feel that it is for behind closed doors. You know, growing up, the subject of menstruation, I don't know, maybe for other families, but then most families in Nigeria, we don't have that conversation about menstruation. Your parent just assumes that, oh, she will grow up, she will find out, and she will learn. But then the question is how? They don't want to put themselves in that position where they have to be the one to teach you. So if that conversation is not being had, or if we shy away from that conversation, it is only natural that when people begin to speak up, the systems begin to fight. So you hear people say something like, oh, please shut up. That conversation is gross. Oh, shut up. You shouldn't be mentioning words like menstruation outside. Oh, please, let's hear. That's your lady's thing. Can you not say it out here? So I'm going to say that's one of the reasons why, despite the advocacy, it feels more like we have not scratched the surface. But then if you want to look at the results previously, and now I am going to say that we have made progress. And I really like the fact that we have individuals and organizations who are really putting in their best. Despite the fact that most times the society does not want to come to terms with it, they are still struggling to accept this conversation as a normal conversation, even if in reality it actually is. But still, we keep talking. And another thing is, I often tell people, you know, in 2004, the United Nations mentioned that menstrual health has now become a public health issue. So for them to have mentioned, it simply means previously, before now, that particular conversation wasn't seen as a public health issue. But then maybe after most people must have spoken, you know, sent petitions, fighting for policies, and then they had to review and actually say, oh, okay, so we think this conversation can now come out. So I'm going to say, yes, we've made progress. There is more work to be done, but then this is one of the reasons why it feels as if we still haven't made progress. The fact that initially it wasn't like this subject was actually seen as something that shouldn't come out. We shouldn't talk about it outside.
Thank you so much, Abigail. And you're really right, spot on that. It didn't used to be a public health issue. It wasn't something that people really wanted to talk about, and the traditions and norms are actually still holding down a lot of the efforts that should have, you know, gone further than before. But things are changing, and I'm happy to be part of that change that is happening right now. And so I'm going to come to you, Patricia. I know we have already spoken a little bit about that. You know, the misconceptions, the myth. We started talking about that a little bit when we started the conversation earlier, and we're just laughing about some things. But in your experience, having worked with a lot of girls, worked in a lot of communities, what are the misconceptions and myths about periods, you know, that you have encountered, and also stuff about period poverty that you have sort of encountered? Could you share with us some of the things?
Okay, thank you very much, Ella. And as we approach the Menstrual Hygiene Day, I really want to commend and applaud everyone out there who is trying to work towards improving menstrual health and hygiene, because this year marks 10 years as the world is actually recognizing and celebrating Menstrual Hygiene Day. So that means there is a lot of progress in as much as there is still a lot of work to do. So speaking a little bit about period poverty, I think for me, it still goes far beyond the product. It goes way beyond what we are actually seeing. Because if you provide the products, we've been to communities where you take the products, but these communities actually lack the necessary structures, but also the wash facilities. They don't have water. They don't have the panties, because, you know, if you're going to wear a reusable pad, it means that you need the knicker or the underwear.
Hi, Patricia. Can you hear me? Your audio seems to have cut out a little bit. Patricia, are you still there? Okay, Francisca, while we're waiting on Patricia, would you like to speak about some of the myths and misconceptions around this? I think we lost Patricia a little.
Okay,
I'm back.
Okay,
all right.
all right. She's back. Thank you
Sorry,
so
my
much.
my network is unstable, but I'll try to
Okay, all
work
right.
it out.
Thank
So
you
to
so much.
answer your question about misconceptions, what I've discovered and I would like to bring to light today is that it's obvious that girls and women living in underserved communities or under-resourced communities struggle to manage their periods. But what I've discovered over the time, even when we come to the city and these other developed environments, you still find that people and women there are struggling to manage their periods. If we have enough time, I could really share a story of something embarrassing that happened to me while I was in a developed work environment, and imagining something that happened to me as someone who is aware, someone who has the knowledge, but I still found myself struggling to manage my periods, even in a .com, like they say, work environment. So I think for me, it's not only an issue at the grassroots, but even in developed communities or spaces, menstrual health and hygiene is still a challenge. Then the other misconception I would really like to point to is having communities where people think that when a girl has started her periods, then she is ready for marriage or she is ready to go into relationships. This became more evident during the COVID-19 lockdowns. We saw young girls being married off in exchange for food, in exchange for money. And when you go deeper and dive deeper, the stories were, oh, she started her periods, therefore, we now
ready.
have, she's ready. We call it kasukari here, meaning sugar, and exchange, bride price, whatever that could be. But also, the other issue that we don't talk about is the silence about menstruation. Being in a space that is male dominated, perhaps, or even with women who are not aware that it's actually okay to express yourself and really talk about menstruation. I think for me today, that is still a challenge. So the silence, the idea that menstrual health is only a challenge for women and girls in the village, for me, those stand out as things that need to be addressed and debunked. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Patricia. When you say that the silence and the fact that people think that period issues affect only girls in the rural areas, it's actually an issue, because when you come to think about it, because people are actually silent about menstruation, even those who are aware are battling with some problems and they're not comfortable to talk about it, and so they never find solutions to those problems. So their problems may not actually be having access to hygiene materials, water, sanitary pads. Their problems may be more with, some people are comfortable with the fact that they have very painful cramps or very long periods, 1 week, and they don't even know that might be an issue, and they don't talk about it, and the silence around it just keeps the cycle going on. And that's actually wrong. And coming to think about it, it's an issue with even the people who are aware. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. That's something to really think about and ponder on. So Francis, I'm going to come back to you again. So what are the direct and indirect impacts of period poverty?
Thank you very much. I think let me just say something. So far, listening to the first two speakers, I think it has also opened up my mind to new dimensions on this whole topic of period poverty. Now, I really believe period poverty, I think we should look at it more from a holistic point of view, right? When we say, okay, I know there is the part where we don't have quality period education. That's because there is the silence around it. A lot of us, the first times we heard about period was in school and not on the home front, right? While some people heard of it through their peers. So now imagine if someone has a very wrong perception about period and then passes it down to their friends in school, and all of that. Like that, it keeps going. The ripple effect, it has a ripple effect. Okay, so that's on the part of period education under the period poverty aspect. Now, when girls do not have access to manage their periods properly, say they have to go to schools where there are no period-friendly toilets, like the toilets are terrible, there's nowhere you can easily change your pad, because you know how periods can be. Most of the time, if you're in the school environment, you have to check, be sure that your pad is not staying. So imagine if you are in a school where the toilets are not functioning properly. I mean, there is no privacy, nowhere for you to have to check if you are stained, or actually change if you are stained. A lot of people stay back at home when they have their periods, just because in the schools they do not have access to toilets, and all of that to manage their period. Now, that affects the education of the girl child, right? Because the moment, okay, for example, say the girl sees her period five times, right? So now, say she misses school for the first 3 days because it's heavier the first 3 days. You see that way, something she would have learned in those 3 days, she'll be struggling to catch up with it. I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say. So that is a direct impact on the girl's education, right? But imagine if we have a situation where the schools have period friendly toilets and all of that. The girl will not have to miss out on such opportunities, right? So another direct impact is on gender equality, right? We all know gender equality giving girls as much opportunities as they give to the guys, right? So for someone who cannot manage their periods just because they cannot even access sanitary materials. I know in some communities here in Nigeria, they still make use of like rags or used clothes to manage their period. So imagine a young girl who has to do that and has to go to school. You can never be comfortable, even as you are, that you use reusable pads or disposable sanitary pads. You still have to be very cautious, to ensure that you don't have any period leak in the public. But now imagine a girl that could have been given an opportunity, or a girl that could have had an opportunity, but because of this, it just secludes you. It just makes you miss out on such opportunities. So it's not just noise we are making when we try to hit on such issues, because I came across someone who said that he thinks we are over exaggerating this whole menstrual issue, and I sat him down to break it down to him, because these things have impact. They might not have direct impacts now, but they have a long-reaching impact. So now, say the person who missed school because she could not manage her period properly in school. Okay, so what if in that time the girl was absent from school, something had happened that she could do, but just because she could not afford, she missed school. Long-reaching impact. So I think we all should keep doing the good work that we are doing, right? Trying to create awareness about it and talk about it, because period is really a natural thing, and it should not be something that should make any girl be left behind. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Francisca, for that. Thank you so much. So moving on to you, Abigail, and I'm just looking in the chat right now, and Patricia says, pure poverty also shatters the confidence and self-esteem of girls and women, and that is a terrible direct impact, and very true. Indirectly, pure poverty compromises the general health and well-being of women and girls in communities. We need to have communities with healthy women and girls. Very true again. Thank you so much, Patricia. So, Abigail, all of us here and even people listening are in one way or the other period advocates or menstruation advocates, if you want to put it that way, right? So either as non-profit advocates, entities, individuals, whatever it is, there are challenges that we all face in trying to fight for this whole period poverty thing or period equity thing. So what are some of these challenges based upon your experience as a founder yourself, and what are your recommendations to solving these challenges that are faced?
Okay, so I'm just going to summarize most of the challenges that I have experienced or I am currently experiencing from what everyone has said here. So the first is going to be the stigma surrounding menstruation and the cultural tabus, because this is actually a big challenge. You know how most people have lived their life hearing one thing or believing one thing, and you're just one young girl who doesn't understand their culture and wants to come and tell them otherwise. Is a challenge, is a barrier. The last project we had, when I told, because I was trying to explain to the women so many things, and when I told them that menstrual blood is not a dirty blood, you could see the surprises on their faces, and they were shouting, "No, we've been told it's a dirty blood." You see, this is a cultural barrier because this is what they believe, this is what their culture or their parents by their culture has passed on to them. And it's quite difficult to really have this conversation with them. So firstly, I'm going to say that's going to be one barrier for me. And then the second barrier I'm going to touch on is just like what the second speaker just said, or was it the third speaker? You see, most times people just think we are over-exaggerating this conversation. And that's why, to some extent, I feel that the government is not giving this subject matter the attention that it deserves. If we create policies, or if we have policies that is going to be in favor of the girl child in this regard, I think it will actually go a long way in aiding our voices. So the next time you go to a community or you go to a secondary school to talk to them, you know that you have like a government backing. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. So this is me saying that if the government is going to support us, by putting out policies that is actually going to favor the girl child, it will go a long way in breaking the barrier that we currently have today. Or personally, let me personalize it. I'm currently facing, because so the government not giving us their support, feeling that these ones are just talking. I mean, menstruation is not a serious matter. Is a problem, So like I just said, so people now feel that you're over exaggerating or you're paying attention to something that shouldn't gain attention in the first place. And then also, I think I cannot conclude this without mentioning economic barrier. The current cost of sanitary pad is crazy. I don't know, maybe it's just around where I stay. But you go to the supermarket these days and then you go through the sanitary pad stand, you see different products and you're amazed at the cost of it. And it's a problem because even when you want to give out or reach out to say 200 girls, 500 girls, 1,000 girls, of course, you need finance to do that. So I'm going to say it's another challenge. And then maybe another thing I'm going to say again to just add to all of this is just going to be the challenge of sustainability and, sustainability, because most times you just tend to give these girls disposable sanitary pad. They make use of it for this month, and then they don't see you this month. So what happens to them
The
month,
next
right?
month.
We are gradually trying to incorporate reusable sanitary pad that comes in form of either a menstrual cup, a reusable sanitary pad, like a pad itself that has wings, or a pint, because there's actually something known as a reusable sanitary pint. It's just like your underwear, but then it has the whole pint pad underneath it that you can just comfortably menstruate on it. But then the acceptability is another thing, because most of these people, the only thing they are used to is their pieces of clothes, their tissue, their newspaper, their stockings, right? And then most times the sanitary pad. Then you bringing in cup to them, which you know that, oh, this can actually stay a long time, which is actually sustainability. Most times they don't want to easily accept it, and I totally understand. So I'm going to say this is another challenge. So if I'm just going to wrap up with the solution or what I think we can do, I'm just going to say we just need to keep working, right? Just keep putting in the effort, keep putting in the energy. Change actually takes time, like I mentioned. So because this is something that has actually stayed over time, it will take time for us to get results. If we persist, if we keep working, every one of us here and then outside of this place, I'm sure we will definitely get results.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. Patricia, you want to add your thoughts to this? Please do.
Yes, definitely I want to. It's been 5 years, I think, when I have been actively engaging in advocacy for menstrual health and hygiene. And this question really, really interests me, because I believe that through this webinar and our voices being captured, together we can be able to come up with strategies. Even in as much as we are in East Africa, you are in West Africa, it still is the same continent that we are serving. So one, I must highlight that, especially if you're a grassroots organization, we all know that it is a struggle, first of all, for your voice to be recognized, for the work that you're doing to be recognized. You always have to put in double, even triple the effort for your voice to reach the people that you actually want to reach. So on top of the economic issues and all of that, I feel that menstrual health and hygiene is still not being funded enough. The funds are not really responding to the amount of challenges that we have. So that is why I'm interested in highlighting that for all the international organizations, the government, policy makers, people who sit and plan for our countries, they need to invest more, especially in the grassroots organizations, because when we are down here, it's us who are living with these people. We know what they are going through. We know what is going on. So when they sit down to make their budgets, when they sit down to see who they're going to partner with, I think taking on grassroots organizations and recognizing the work that we are doing is actually very important. The other issue that I would like to also highlight is we can no longer continue looking at menstrual health and hygiene as a silo. It requires a multi-sector approach. I don't know how it is in Nigeria, but the other day we were sharing and saying, you see, when you start traveling and you're on the highway, by road, I mean, and people stop the car and they want to ease themselves. It's always easy for the men to just go and do their thing. But have we ever thought about what it means for women to go to the bush? Imagine you're menstruating. How are you supposed to change your pad? That now still gets us to think about the climate change, environmental conservation. You find pads in the bush and so much more. So ministries like, roads, transport, water, energy, everyone should come on board. It's not just the Ministry of Health or Ministry of Education. It's everyone's responsibility. Every sector has to come on board to see that we actually secure a menstrual health right. So for me, those two challenges. And the other is the research. I feel like the research is still lacking because at the end of the day, organizations or people who are funding can never fund what they can't measure. So we need to invest more in the research such that we keep taking on evidence-based approaches if you're working in a community as an advocate or as someone implementing, are you able to talk of the numbers? Are you showing statistics? Maybe then if we're going to these conferences and these meetings, we're actually able to show these people that this is actually what is happening. So as advocates, we also need to take that on, evidence-based approaches. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Patricia, for that's very insightful comment that you made. And I can really relate, especially when you talked about when women travel, there is no space. In fact, there's nothing for us to actually use, no space to change. I had that experience myself. I was traveling by road from Nigeria to Ghana, and we had just crossed the border where you have the opportunity, to go and pee and do everything you want to do. And guess what? The lady decided that she was going to pour down on me after we had crossed the border. And when you cross the border, you have another 6 or 5 hours, I guess, before you get to the next one. As at then, I don't know how it is now, but you don't want to know what my experience was. I sat down from Ghana till Lagos. I did not come out for 1 second because I was soaked. I was wearing a black skirt. The whole black skirt, the chair I was sitting on, I could smell myself. It was so embarrassing, so uncomfortable, and I could not do anything until we got to Lagos at 2 a.m. that morning. That was when I came down after everyone had come out of the bus. And I'm just remembering this now, and it's so annoying. But a lot of women also experience this. So you're really right about, all of the whole sectors have to be involved in trying to actually solve this problem. It's like we have to look at it from a different angle, different approach. So yeah, thank you so much. Francisca, I'm going to come to you now. And Patricia and Abigail, please feel free to also share your thoughts on this. How do you think we can... Thank you so much, Patricia. Yes, it was such a horrible experience. But yes, that's the story for another day. Francisca, how do you think we can incorporate innovation and technology in addressing this issue of period poverty? We are in the AI era. Everyone is talking about AI, innovation, tech. How can... is there even a possibility of innovation and technology being used to actually address period poverty? Let's take that bit of the question first.
Okay, yeah, I really believe innovation and technology can be incorporated in addressing period poverty. Now, when we hear innovation, most of the time, everybody tilts towards, we need to build an app, we need to create something, but something as or what might seem as little as utilizing social media is actually, it can come in as innovation. Now, here's how. Now, we can see that these days, if you look through social media, you would see there's a whole lot of influencer marketing going on. There's a whole lot of using videos, short videos to pass a lot of messages and all of that, right? So I think if we can incorporate certain messaging, in very innovative ways, we can be able to push the message of what we can do about period poverty to a larger audience, right? For example, what I do with my platform, CC Red Initiative, I look at various angles that ladies experience menstruation through, and I come up with very short, educative, innovative clips and make videos like that and put it on social media. And then you see people say, this is relatable. I know I've had various messages from men. I think I even have more messages from men saying, I just learned something about this. Thank you for this video. I just learned something. So basically using social media to push more education and awareness, because you can't fight, or you can't try to advocate for what you don't even know. Some people still do not know that period poverty is a big deal, right? So as much as we use social media to push videos about skits, relatable, now those relatable content we see, we can also use it to actually push more education and awareness around period poverty. Well, aside doing that, we can also teach the next generation how to do this, right? So for example, when I had the event last year where we used spoken words, prose, and drama to talk about menstruation, it's this time around, that time we gave the girls the opportunity to share their own stories, right? So now I think I don't know how it's done in East Africa, but in West Africa, we had various clubs in our schools, right? We had the drama club, we had the literary club, jet club, and all of that. So already most of us, or most of the people, already have the talents. Some of them can sing, some of them can write, some of them can act. So it now takes us to say, okay, when we go to some of these places to educate them or tell them about this, we can also show them how they can use this, I don't know if I'm going to call it talents now, that they have to also advocate. So this is still innovative, because imagine where a young girl is coming and using a poem to talk about period poverty. Or writing a short play or a short drama to talk about period poverty. It's something you have almost never seen, right? So this is an innovative approach that I think we can utilize to create more awareness and education around period poverty.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. Immaculate says women and girls can also be allowed to work remotely during menses in case they are not comfortable being at their workplaces. This is so spot on. There are so many girls that have very painful periods or are so uncomfortable that they cannot be at the workplace. Provision should be made for them to have that 3, 4, 5 days off if possible that week, and just be at home and work. But we know what it is. I hope that happens sometime. But yes, thank you so much for that contribution, Immaculate. So just moving forward very quickly, I'm going to just throw this open to everyone, Francisca, Patricia, and Abigail. So looking forward, everyone has a role to play, right? And so it's important that we are concerned and passionate about all of these issues, especially period issues, to ensure that girls have access to a GoodCycle experience. So how do you think we can make everyone concerned and passionate about it as we are, and not make them think that we are exaggerating and talking about it too much, like some people already think? So the floor is open to you, ladies.
Okay, I'll go first.
Okay, Patricia.
So first of all, discussions such as these webinars, tweet chats, using social media is a good place to start, because today at least everyone, not everyone, but I'm just saying at least everyone has enough time on their phones. So when we organize discussions like this, it's a good place to start. But we also need to go on and keep doing the little that we are doing. We do not have to give up, because we know that advocating for menstruation has really, really taken on a toll on us. It's taken years and we're still going on, but we do not have to give up. Then the networking is also very important. For example, after today, we don't have to stop on this webinar. We need to continue going on.
Most definitely.
Yes, let's keep networking in whichever way that we can, but not just networking on the phones. We need to go down and zero it down to impact. If there is a practice that has worked for all the speakers today, can they share with us in East Africa, and then we can see how we can implement that in our context here.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Patricia. Thank you so much. Abigail, yes.
Okay, so
Okay, she's still speaking. Patricia,
okay.
you're still speaking on the topic?
Yes, I'm concluding to just
Okay,
say
sorry. I thought you were done. You got cut off, so I thought you were
my
done. Please
network
go
is
on.
unstable. Yeah, so I was just saying the networking and then zeroing it down. We do not have to give up. Everywhere we go, because we should stand for what we actually believe in, and that is menstrual justice for all. So yes, we should just keep the ball rolling. We do not have to give up till we actually get what we are chasing for. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Patricia. Okay, Abigail. Yes, please.
Okay, so Patricia has said a lot. Just to add maybe 2 points to what she has said. So I think getting everyone involved, we can actually do that by sharing personal stories. You know how you share personal story with someone, and then somehow along the line it encourages the person, or it springs up something in the person that the person feels comfortable to also share their experience. So I feel if we also share our personal experience, these young girls get to know that, oh, okay, so they are not the only one experiencing this. Other women are actually experiencing it. And if they are free to talk about it, it simply means this is actually normal in reality. And then still on sharing personal experiences, I think it's going to be a good idea if we have influencers actually talk about this. You know, you have so many people who are influencers. They talk about plenty things: leadership, exercise, having your health in check. But how about we have influencers who actually focus on talking about menstruation, right? I think if we have this, it will go a long way in actually bringing different people, I mean, everyone, to know that, okay, this is natural and everyone should actually get involved. So that's one. And then the second thing is, just like Patricia has said, you know, the social media campaign, you put out innovative videos out there. You know, this is an era of tech. So many people, you have people who spend almost a large percentage of their day online there, and then watching comic videos and all of that. So how about we make this social media campaign, take it a bit more serious, create content that people can actually sit well with people, although it might be comic, although it might be maybe it's educational, but then somehow people can actually relate with this and say, oh, okay, menstruation is not that serious. Actually, in reality, it is a normal conversation and we should normalize it. And then the last thing I'm going to say is we need to start getting men and boys to this conversation. Yes, on board. We need to invite them to the table. We need to give them a seat at the
Hi, Abigail. I think everyone's network is being crazy today.
Can
Abigail,
anyone hear me?
Okay, yes. Now we can hear you.
Yes. Okay, so I was saying that we need to invite men to have a seat on the table of this conversation. You know how we go to schools for projects, and then you want to talk to young girls about menstruation, and the teachers or the school principal is busy separating all the boys, get out, go outside, get away from the window.
Yeah.
I'm just speaking from my experience.
Yes,
I think it's time we allow these guys to sit, because most times there's something I observe. Most times you give young girls sanitary pad, and then when they see their male classmates coming, they are hurriedly putting it inside their bag. If guys are there, they don't want to openly have that conversation. They are shy. But then if we start ensuring that we allow guys to sit in that class while we talk about this, I mean, the guys understand that it is natural. And then tomorrow, when they see a girl who is stained, they know how best to handle her, or how best to communicate with her and tell her, please, you're stained, or even how to get her sanitary pad, right? So we need to get men involved, get boys involved in this conversation.
Really, really great. Thank you so much for that. Francisca, so what are your thoughts about how we can make everyone concerned and passionate about period poverty.
Okay. All right. I think I'll just be talking about one major point, and that would be to get all the stakeholders involved, starting from the parents. Now, a lot of us, I know if we sample and talk about, we ask us, oh, where did you first hear about periods? Not everybody first heard about it from the home.
From their
And
parents.
even those that heard about it from the home, it was just very quick. Don't talk, now you're seeing your period. If you talk to a guy, this is what you are a woman now. Like very,
awkward conversation.
so awkward. So I think, and it's because the parents themselves do not know how to go about having such conversations. So I think if we have more content or more education for the parents, for the religious leaders, just like someone had said that in some religions you cannot do certain things when you are seeing your period. So if we have such education that cuts across the parents, the religious sectors, those that are in charge of local government, because another person on this call had mentioned that once you grow old enough, you can be giving off, like once you start menstruating, you can be giving off because you are old enough to be married. Most of them, this thing, they are culturally shaped. So they got it from somewhere. So how about we target those people that are in charge of shaping culture in each of these communities, and then get to bring the conversations to them. So that's why I said stakeholders, because they're stakeholders. So I said, in this place, involve all stakeholders, from the parents to the local government, grassroots, to the schools and all of that. So this is how I think we can get everyone concerned and ensure every girl has access to a GoodCycle experience. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Francisca. Like Patricia said, an inclusive programming, leaving no one behind. Thank you so much. Exactly. Leaving no one behind and ensuring that every girl has a GoodCycle experience. And so this brings us to the end of all our conversations. And, I just, for anyone who is listening right now, before we go into talking about how we at the Smile Outreach is contributing to solving this issue of period poverty, I don't know if anyone has any questions that you would like to ask to Patricia, Abigail, or Francisca. This is the time for you to ask your questions. Immaculate, Abigail, Abigail Sunday, not Abigail this time around. I don't know if you have any questions or anyone right there on LinkedIn that has any questions. I'm just going to be looking through the chat to see if we have any questions. And then we'll take that before we go straight up into talking about how we at the Smile Outreach is solving the problem. Yes, Immaculate, please go first.
I want to share something in schools. Menstrual health education should be introduced, and once this is done, these young girls will be able to speak up about their menses, and in this way they can be helped, because most of these young girls don't know yet predicting their menstrual cycles, so they get their menses by surprise while at school. So once this happens, that school, they're able to speak up, and then also these sanitary products and materials are availed, then in this way they can be helped, because they will not have to waste time to maybe first go back home. Maybe they feel embarrassed, so they will not have to miss out on school. They will stay in school and gain equally with a boy child.
You're right. Very, very great contribution, Immaculate. Having to include period education into the curriculums in schools. Very, very, very great contribution. Thank you so much for that. Abigail Sunday, you wanted to say something Please feel free to go ahead. You're muted, just in case you're trying to speak.
Yes,
Okay.
I sent a chat. Yes.
Okay. Okay, so Abigail has a question. She says, how should a guy approach a lady that she is stained? Or is it wise for a guy to approach a lady to tell her that she's stained? How can he go about that? So this is a question thrown open to Francisca, Patricia, and Abigail Festus. Whichever one of you wants to respond, please feel free. Basically, I'm sure she's just asking, how can a guy tell a girl that she is stained? So who would want to answer that question for Abigail?
Okay, I'm going to try to attempt
Okay, please go
to,
ahead.
because I have been in this position where I got stained and I was in the presence of a gentleman and two ladies. So depending on the environment they're in, depending on the place that they're in, I think the guy, instead of maybe laughing or walking away, the guy can tap the lady. Hello, ma'am. Excuse me, ma'am. Your skirt or your dress just got marked or stained. In a more respectable way. It shouldn't be degrading in any way or laughable. Yeah. But then still that needs to come from someone who is aware about menstruation, who has been taught how to handle such situations, but also them appreciating that menstruation is something that is a biological process. It is normal and it will happen to a lady, your mother, your sister, any woman in society. So I think that's what I can say, really. It depends on the environment, but most importantly, the man needs to be aware. They need to know that menstruation is a biological process that is normal and nothing to be laughed about. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Patricia. Abigail, you wanted to say something. Abigail first. You wanted to say something to contribute to that. Please go ahead.
Okay, so for me, the first question I was going to ask is, how can a guy say good morning to a lady? Is that yes? So I think this question is coming because we have not normalized the conversation of menstruation. If we normalize the conversation and the society, when I mean the society, I mean everyone comes to terms with the fact that, just like Francisca has said, it is a natural and a normal fact of life. I don't think there will be a challenge telling a lady that she's stained. So if you feel this is natural, it is normal, you can just, like Francisca said, respectfully walk up to the lady and say, hello, ma'am, you're stained, or can you quickly use the bathroom, the convenience, so that you can change up? I think you're stained. And the lady as well will not feel embarrassed, because it is intensify efforts to ensure that we actually get to that point with a normal conversation. But while we are working to get there, if a guy, for him to do is not mock her or laugh hurtful words, say, you don't know, say you're supposed to be on your period, which is yourself so loose. No, she didn't leave herself so loose. So the guy can just respectfully walk up to her and then avoid all of the cheesy speeches and then just tell her, hi, ma'am, you are stained, or can you look for somewhere private or any conveniences around, and then check yourself so that you can sit properly. I think.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. Respect, I think, is the major thing here from what both of you have said. The approach really matters. Go respectfully, go nicely, because it's a normal part of life. The same way a boy that would have maybe falling into mud somewhere and you tell him, hi, your trouser is pink, can you please go and change? It's the same way you talk to a girl about it. So the approach is really what matters. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So without taking so much time, I am happy to share with you all how the Smile Outreach, we are the Smile Outreach Foundation, is contributing to solving the problem of period poverty through our new project called the GoodCycle Initiative. And the GoodCycle Initiative, just to give you a very quick rundown about it, is a comprehensive project to promote awareness, facilitate education, and foster empowerment regarding menstrual health and hygiene. And we're focusing on tackling absenteeism among schoolgirls due to inaccessibility to menstrual products, reducing period poverty, and further strengthening our mission of eliminating sexual grooming and cross-generational sexual relations by establishing pad stations at schools, IDP camps, and prisons. And it is very important for us at the Smile Outreach because we have noticed through our research that a lot of girls, like you all have also mentioned here, they miss school due to inaccessibility to menstrual products, or even, the whole resource like toilets and stuff that they need to actually take care of themselves. And also, we find that some other girls are actually having to sleep with people who are older than them, which is where the whole sexual grooming and cross-generational sexual relations happen, in exchange for menstrual products. So in order to solve all of those problems, which it's an overarching problem, because you don't have access to menstrual products, you cannot go to school, so you're missing school, you're lagging behind in education. You also, because of the same lack of access to menstrual products, sexual grooming is happening. The girl becomes prone or a victim to sexual violence as a result of the very simple, common thing that happens to every woman, period. So we are trying to solve this problem by establishing pad stations at schools, IDP camps, and prisons. So IDP camps are internally displaced persons camps, and our pad stations, the basic idea behind that, people call it a pad bank, but ours is very unique and different from what a pad bank would be. Ours is a station where girls will get access to period products and also access to menstrual hygiene education. So it's beyond the period product for us. It goes beyond just giving the girls the sanitary pads. We want to educate them about it. We want to follow through with the process. And in some way, we're also trying to teach them how to take care of themselves and be self-reliant, right? So we're tackling absenteeism, like I mentioned before, reducing period poverty, and also eliminating sexual grooming, which is very, very, very important. And our key approach, which I was just explaining, is the pad station establishment, the monthly facilitation sessions, and we're going to be using strategic location and placement of the pad stations. And you can agree with me that schools have a lot of girls, IDP camps, prisons. These are very specific strategic locations. And all of these locations are going to be handpicked by our partners and our sponsors for this project. And like I also mentioned, it goes beyond having just a box where the girls can get access to the pads. We're having volunteers that are going to be going every month to visit these girls, have facilitation sessions with them, teach them how to take care of themselves, hear their stories, their challenges, whatever it is that they are facing, and sort of solve that problem from the community, because we believe that when these girls are educated, these girls have a sense of belonging, a sense of community, to know that there are older girls that actually go through the same problem with them. They are able to transfer this knowledge to their friends, to their mothers, to their sisters, and that's how we begin to solve this problem of period poverty in our own very little way. And for those of you who would like to learn more about this project, time would not allow me to actually go really in depth to talk about it. Please feel free to reach out to us. I'm going to display our contact information right now. But beyond reaching out to us to learn more, we're interested in working with you as a partner or as a sponsor for this project. You can sponsor a pad station. You can actually provide sanitary pads, make your own donation to providing sanitary pads for these girls monthly. Because like Abigail said, periods are very expensive. The products are very expensive. And imagine a girl has to bleed for 5 days every month. Do the math. That's a lot of pads that she has to use. And so you can donate, you can partner with us. You can also volunteer to be a GoodCycle facilitator. So what this means is every month you are going to be going to your dedicated pad station to actually engage with these young girls and tackle the problem of period poverty in that community. So ladies, thank you so much. Thank you, Immaculate. I see you, Patricia. All right, Patricia, I'll send you an email and then we could take it up from there so we could get talking, right? So please feel free to visit us on our website. A lot of information about this project. We're going to be having the maiden launch of the very first pad station and the launch of the GoodCycle Northern Nigeria with Fab Treasures Foundation, which the founder is here, Festus Abigail. Thank you so much for getting on board that project with us. We're launching the very first pad station on Menstrual Hygiene Day, which is next week, Tuesday, in 2 IDP camps in Abuja, Nigeria. And it's going to be really an amazing opportunity for you guys to come on board, see what is happening, actually be involved with the process of educating girls about their periods and helping them get comfortable with talking about it. So please feel free to check out our website to learn more about it. Feel free also to give us a call. We're on WhatsApp with this number, and we're happy to work with each and every one of you that are interested in working with us. And yes, I want to say thank you to our speakers, Francisca, Patricia, Abigail, Immaculate, and also Abigail Sunday, who also dropped off this call. Thank you so much for joining, and every other person who streamed on LinkedIn joined us for this conversation. Please follow us on our social media platforms, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. We always drop insightful conversations, content, that educates and inspires you to take action around cross-generational sex, menstrual equity, and gender equality. These are things that we're very passionate about, and we're happy to work with you on that. Thank you so much and have a wonderful weekend, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good one.
Thank you, everyone. It was good to be here.
Thank
Bye.
you so much.
All right.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Thank you,
Okay.
everyone,
Thank you.
and the
Thank you.
information shared.
Thank you. All right. Okay. Thank you so much, Immaculate. Have a wonderful evening.